Exercise 1719, Working Capital. So here's data for outreach enterprises. We've got 3 different years, and we're listing our current assets and our current liabilities. So our task is to compute the dollar amount of change and the percentage of change in the company's working capital each year during 2017 and 2016. And then we need to indicate, or what do the calculated, we need to answer, what do the calculated changes indicate? Okay, so first of all, we have to know, what is the formula for working capital? Working capital is current assets minus current liabilities. And then how do we calculate the dollar amount of change of anything? You're going to take the later period amount minus the earlier period amount. So for example, to figure out how much current assets changed for 2017 and 2016, you just take the current year and subtract the previous year. And then how do we calculate percentage change? It's the dollar amount of change. So this is new minus old. That's another way to say dollar amount of change divided by the base year or the base period amount. That's the same as saying old. So new minus old divided by old and then multiply by 100 to convert it to a percentage. Now that we got the formulas worked out, we can start working on the data. So first we need to calculate the amount and percentage of change in capital for 2016 and then round percentages to 1 decimal place. Okay, so for 2016, well, first of all, we have to calculate working capital. So here is the worked solution. So the first task is to figure out working capital for all 3 years. So remember, working capital is current assets minus current liabilities. So let's just do 2017 real quick. The 380,000 here came from the 380,000 here, current assets, and then you subtract the current liabilities. And that gives us working capital of 200,000 in 2017. And then 2016, we have $165,000 of working capital. And then 2015, we have $145,000 of working capital. So what they're asking for us here, first of all, now we're working for 2016. It says, what is the amount of change in working capital for 2016? So in other words, how much has working capital changed from 2016 to the prior year? So the working capital, here's the column for calculating that. You take the current year's working capital and you just subtract the previous year's working capital. So we have a $20,000 change in working capital for 2016. And that makes sense. Went from 145 to 145,000 to 165,000. Now, what is the percentage change in working capital? So if something went from 145,000 to 165,000, how do we calculate the percentage change? So to calculate that, it's new minus old, which is the same as this 20,000, divided by old. So they calculated the percentage change this way. Here's our new minus old, the 20,000, which came from 165 minus 145, divided by old, the prior year, 145,000, gives us 13.8%. So remember, take 20,000 divided by 145,000, then multiply by 100 to convert it to a percentage. Now we need to do the same for 2017. So the first thing we need to do is calculate the change in working capital for 2017. So working capital changed from 165,000 to 200,000. So that's a difference of 35,000. So our next task is to calculate the percentage change in working capital from 2016 to 2017. So how do we calculate this percentage change? Is new minus old divided by old. So new minus old is 35,000, and then divided by old, which is 165,000. So here's your formula: 35,000, the amount of change divided by the old number, gives us 21.2%. So getting back to our list of working capital, the next question is Outreach Enterprises working capital, so this column, has done what from 2015 to 2017? Well, it looks like it's gone up every year. So it is improved. Remember, working capital is something that's good because working capital is assets minus liabilities. I should say current assets minus current liabilities. So really what working capital is how much do you have in excess to play with, in theory. And when we get to the acid test ratio, we'll talk more about why that's just a theory. And that's it.